going on, everybody? Grim Repair here. Today I'm going to show you how to change out your steering wheel. Tools you're going to need to do everything we did in this video: a smaller Phillips, a larger Phillips 13/16 socket with a ratchet and extension, 5/8, ½ inch, T27 Torx bit, and this ratcheting flex head makes it really easy to get into tight spaces, an 8mm to remove the battery cable, and a steering wheel puller. There'll be links down below to all the tools and parts used in the video. First thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery. Help reduce the risk of shorting something out, and it's hot out. My door is going to be open most of the time, and I don't want the battery to be dead from the dome light being on, so I'm just going to disconnect it. Also, you want to disconnect the battery, wait 10 minutes so that the airbag system can discharge and you don't risk blowing this up accidentally. After you've waited, the next thing we're going to do on this particular model is we're going to loosen the 4 bolts on the back side of this airbag. GM's been running this steering column from the early 70s all the way up to the mid 90s, probably a little bit later than that. You may or may not have an airbag. If you got an older car without an airbag, the center button here where the horn is usually just going to pull off. But the bolts that hold this particular airbag on are a T27. They're on the back here, and they don't come all the way out. They're kind of stuck in the steering wheel, but they loosen up and then the airbag can come off. That's loose. Other two are directly on the other side of the steering wheel. Sometimes it's easier to get to these if you can rotate the steering wheel. But I got this socket with the T27 on it, and it's real small. It gets into tight spaces, so I'm not going to have to do that. I like to keep the steering wheel straight. That way I can remember where everything goes and line it up easy. Most steering wheels have an indexing on them, but some of them don't, and you can put it back on in the wrong position. So you want to note what position your steering wheel's in, and straight up and down is the easiest to get right. So we got all those loose. This should just pull right off. Don't pull on it too hard. You got to unplug it. You don't want to be getting any static discharge on this or anything like that. And when you do go to set it down like that in case something happens. You don't want it like this and then this goes flying off into the air. So I'm just gonna set it down here, or actually I'm gonna set it somewhere where there's not a lot of static. All right, next we're gonna push in on this and rotate it counterclockwise. It's spring loaded, so you got to push in on it a little bit and just pulls right out. This socket, or this bolt, this nut here is a 13/16. And I like to keep everything in order, and there's enough room on the dash to do that with all the fittings we're going to use. Put that one here. Next we're going to have to get our steering wheel puller. You can't just pull this off. And you want to use a puller that looks like this, the two arms. And on this particular one, we're going to have to thread into these holes right here. And the threads on my steering wheel here feel a little bit damaged, but it's this coarse threaded smaller bolt that came with the puller kit. All right, the socket size on this is a 5/8, and these are a ½ inch. Just gonna put it like this. Thread both of these bolts in there. And you can see how badly bent this one is. be nice if that was not the case, but it's what I got. I think it's gonna work. Don't go too far in or you're gonna damage the clock spring with these. Just get them enough in there so they have something to grab onto. And that's probably good. Want them to both be equally tight so that the puller is pulling evenly. There we go. And it's off. We're gonna guide this airbag wire out. Set this aside. And this steering wheel here does not look like it has an index, so you want to make sure you're getting it on in the right position. Mine was just a little bit off centered like that. But I'm gonna line up where the horn goes, which is right there. I'm gonna take this nut, tighten it back down. You can see everything's lining up pretty good. Color is a little bit off, but it's a nicer wheel. It feels better in your hand. I think I'm gonna like it. I'm just gonna tighten it down. There we go. Now we're gonna take this wire here, slide it down into that hole there, push it and turn it clockwise. There we go. And this is just gonna pop back in there. We're gonna one more time put our keys in. Make sure everything's moving. We're gonna hook our battery back up and make sure that the horn works. And that's it. High five, you did it. Thanks for watching.